Hey everybody, my name is Julie Hoffman. I'm a real estate investment coach, also known as the Street Smart Diva. And I'm also one of the founders of the Okanagan Real Estate Investment Group. And I want to welcome you here today because I get to talk about one of my favorite topics. And these are no bank qualified deals, creative deals. This is what gets me out of bed in the morning because it's so exciting. It's such a really interesting way to do real estate and to create lots of win-wins. I'm going to be talking a lot about that today. So also, I want to let you know that there may be some pauses, some in and outs kind of situations. Tripping over my words already, great. But I need to pause and kind of rearrange things, and I might be just kind of coming in and out, and there might be some delays. But overall, I think it's going to be fantastic for you. So thanks so much for being here. Thanks for watching it. Let's get started. So again, my name is Julie Hoffman, and I have a really interesting background in real estate investment. Started investing in 2001. My husband actually called me on the way home from a real estate investment seminar. I was 6 months pregnant with our first child, and he said, we have to invest in real estate. And I said, okay, because I was raised actually by a real estate investor. I have very fond memories of my dad having lots of time available, always able to pick me up, always able to show up when I needed him. When I had home ec classes, he was able to always be there to be our lunch guest, which was part of our grade. And he had a lot of freedom. So I have pleasant memories of my dad being an entrepreneur. So when my husband suggested this, it really wasn't all that foreign to me. And he was working as a home hardware owner. That's like an Ace Hardware for my American friends. And it's a major franchise, major brand in Canada, hardware store and building supply center. It was a 100-year-old, three generation family run business. And he worked about 80 hours a week and at least 6 days a week. So he felt very trapped in his job. He was seeking more freedom, and he knew real estate was going to help him do that. And I had a lot of time on my hands because at the time I was a physical therapist. I could look for properties on weekends and during my lunch break. And so I had the luxury of time. And so I was able to use a lot of the education that I learned from this real estate investment group that we joined. And I was able to put a lot of it into action while my husband, worked 80 hours a week. And before too long, we had 3 properties before my baby was born. And those 3 properties I'm going to talk a little bit about later because they were all from motivated sellers. And that's what this whole presentation really boils down to, is trying to work with motivated sellers so that you can do no bank qualified deals, low money down deals, and create win-win situations. Okay. So we had 3 properties. I always thought I would go back to my job because I went to university forever to get a doctorate in physical therapy. And the funniest thing happened. My daughter was born. I took one look at her. I felt madly in love with her, just like every parent does. And I knew that I wanted to spend as much time with her as I possibly could. And I knew real estate would enable us to do that. So we went on, we bought 36 houses over the course of 3 years and had more children. And then we sold all of our houses, bought apartment buildings and flipped them. So we'd buy them and then we'd sell all the condos off in pieces. And we did that very successfully for years. We had massive success. Our 5 buildings that we flipped, we would buy them and they would be sold in a month, and we would make, $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 per building. We felt very, very smart. And so, of course, we bought 5 more going into the recession, going into the fall of 2007. And fortunately or unfortunately, I'm going to talk about that too, we went from being multimillionaires to multiple foreclosures and eventual bankruptcy. Now, we fought for a good 4.5, 5 years to save our real estate investment portfolio, but it ended up that our decision was to, again, enter bankruptcy protection and go through a whole bunch of foreclosures. So not a lot of fun. However, from that experience, we became very street smart. And that's where the Street Smart Diva brand comes. Because what we were able to do after that was rebuild another multi-million-dollar real estate investment portfolio, all without any of our own money and without having to qualify for financing. And it was largely due to the fact that we'd gone through so many struggles, because we understand what people are going through. And again, we were able to acquire a bunch of property from motivated sellers because we were motivated sellers for a while. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that as well. Yeah, now I coach. Now I run a real estate investment group. I continue to do deals. I'm going to be talking about a couple of deals today, and I hope you get a lot out of it. So before I move on, I'm going to pause the video, and then you're going to see a PowerPoint, and then I'm going to navigate away, and I'm going to come back, and it's going to be hopefully exciting for you. Maybe something that you've never seen before. At least I hope so. And I really hope that you are able to walk away with some great information. So I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Welcome. Welcome to the coolest seminar I think I've ever hosted, because again, it's one of my favorite topics. We're going to be talking about some really cool things, and I want to just let you know that this is being recorded. I do go pretty fast sometimes, just because I want to cover as much content as I possibly can, but you will get the recording of this information. So don't worry, sit tight, do the best you can. Keep in mind that it is going to be recorded, so if you need to go back, then you can always do that. So what's up next? We're going to talk about how to find deals, how to analyze deals, why understanding financing is so important, especially when you're doing no bank qualified deals where the motivated seller is holding the financing for you, how motivated sellers think, because again, I was a motivated seller at one time, and how to present to a motivated seller in order to get a decision fast. So yes, this could be chock full of information. Let's get started. So first things first, how to find deals. One of the best ways to find deals is online. You can find them through Craigslist, Facebook, Kijiji. Facebook Marketplace is a great place to find deals because there's a lot of properties for rent. So you can call landlords, and maybe you'll talk to a motivated seller who's a landlord who's tired of being a landlord. Those are great conversations to have. Craigslist, same thing. You've got people advertising their houses for sale, advertising their houses for rent. These are great places to find for sale by owner deals. Kijiji, absolutely the same thing. And then to take it a step further, you can really market pretty heavily into these platforms, especially Kijiji and Facebook. Actually, in Kijiji, you can market, you can do what's called digital bandit signing. And I'm going to talk about bandit signing more, but you can do marketing for I buy houses ads. All right, so you can market in Kijiji, and you can have like 3 ads going right in front of potential motivated sellers all the time. It takes a little bit of work, takes a little bit of time, but it's absolutely free. And that is very, very economical for most people. A lot of people don't have a huge budget when it comes to marketing, but it's a great place to get in front of motivated sellers, and there's some really cool strategies actually taught by the digital bandit, that's Paul Duncan. And he can talk you through exactly how to find motivated sellers through Kijiji with 0 money down. Facebook, you're probably looking at spending anywhere from $750 to $1,500 to really get some good traction and really get some high quality motivated sellers calling you through Facebook. So there is definitely a higher likelihood of money investment involved for your advertising on Facebook, but it's super efficient because it's very, very targeted. So those are great places to find deals. Another way is to just drive around your neighborhood, or drive around the neighborhood that you're interested in investing in, okay? So guess which house is vacant in this picture? Of course, it's the house that's covered in snow. So either the owners are on vacation, or it's vacant, or something else is going on that the neighbors probably need to be concerned about. But the fact of the matter is, you can find vacant houses, and if houses are vacant, it means it's probably a financial strain on somebody, all right? So wintertime is a great time to find motivated sellers just by driving around. The other way is driving around looking for houses for rent, for sale by owner signs that are just hanging in the window, hanging on a light pole, hanging in the yard, houses that have bad landscaping, or cars in the yard, or motorcycles, or junk, houses that are in disrepair. are probably owned by motivated sellers, either because the tenants aren't taking care of them or the owners don't take care of the place, and so it's falling into disrepair. And chances are, if the owner's not taking care of their place, they're probably not taking care of their finances either. So there might be a situation and an opportunity to help somebody and also make some money along the way. One of my favorite ways is bandit signs. Bandit signs are incredibly powerful. And we just completed actually a bandit sign course, took you step by step exactly what to do, how to identify your farm area, what to look for, what to look out for, how to hang them, how to talk to the motivated sellers when they talk to you. And they work extremely well. I'm working on a bandit sign deal right now. I'm going to take you through some of the details. And they absolutely work. Now, not everybody wants to do bandit signs. Some cities are really bandit sign against, anti-bandit sign. Some cities, like City of Vernon, I live in Kelowna, British Columbia. The City of Vernon, there are no laws against bandit signs or bylaws. So you can have bandit signs anywhere depending on your location. And there are good ways to do bandit signs and there are inappropriate ways to do bandit signs, just like anything, right? But if you're not comfortable doing bandit signs, then you probably need to explore other options like driving around your neighborhood, maybe going digital, talking to other people, letting them know that you are investing in real estate. So I want to give you an example before I talk a little bit more about that, about a bandit sign deal that we are in the midst of right now. So this is a tired landlord. He actually has multiple properties. He knows that if he is going to sell them, say through a real estate agent, he's going to have to get rid of the tenants, make it vacant. He's going to have to do a bunch of repairs, painting, flooring, all kinds of things. He's going to probably have to stage it. He's going to have to pay a realtor. I don't have anything against realtors, but fact of the matter is they take away your profit. They just do, unless they sell something far, far over market. And so this is just something that he was not interested in doing. Again, multiple properties, but he knew that he was facing a lot of expenses, plus lawyer fees, plus, you know, just having your property vacant. He still has to pay a mortgage, still has to pay taxes, insurance, utilities, all that kind of stuff. But mostly it's about time. This seller, he's just already moved to Surrey to be with his grandkids, okay? And he doesn't want it to take a lot of time. So he helped us get into a fantastic deal, and we've probably got a few more coming after this from the same seller. So now we've got the first of hopefully many properties under contract. We're taking care of his headache fast. We're taking possession of this property as soon as possible. Actually, as soon as the tenants can get out. There are going to be some tradespeople. They're going to come in and they're going to make some money because they're going to help renovate the house. They're going to help suite it. Our deal partners are going to do extremely well because they're going to do great on their money. The banks are going to do well. Our lenders are going to do well. The brokers are going to, the mortgage broker that's helping us going to do well. The lawyers are going to do well. And of course, we're going to do well too. All right. Because we're walking into $40,000 equity in this deal. Totally fun. Totally awesome. Always fun to walk into equity. And best of all, we don't have to qualify for the financing because this is a motivated seller situation. So what are other ways to find deals? All right. Other ways to find deals is just talk about it. Tell everybody that you know that you're doing real estate. Find a way to drop it into the conversation here and there. Don't talk about it all the time because pretty soon you're going to have people, nobody's going to want to hang around with you, you know, unless there are other real estate investors. That's all we want to talk about. So yeah, absolutely. Surround yourself with like-minded people. But the other people in your life, your coworkers, your extended family, your friends, start talking about how you're looking for deals. Because you never know, somebody might be talking to somebody, and if they know that you're investing in real estate and that you help people in interesting situations or you help people create win-win situations in real estate, if a friend of yours is talking to somebody who's going through a very challenging situation, they might connect you. So that's one of the reasons why you want to talk, and you want to let people know that you're out there. I'll never forget, I was picking up my daughter from school. And Dylan, who's my daughter Brooke's friend's dad, my daughter's friend Brooke's dad, yeah, okay. Dylan, he asked me, he said, what is it that, I asked him, how was your day? He said, good, I worked all day. Oh, awesome. And he said, how about you? How was your day? I said, oh, it was great. I'm working on a real estate deal. Just said that, you know, just like dropped it, right? And he said, well, what is it that you do anyway? I don't think I fully understand. And I said, well, I help people in real estate. Like I help people that are having a tough time selling their house. Sometimes I help people who are having a tough time buying a house. And he's like, I need help. I've been trying to sell my house forever. And we're going to have to pay the bank a whole bunch of money if it does sell because it's kind of undervalued. And my ex-wife's all mad. And my girlfriend's mad because she's pregnant and, you know, she wants to move into a bigger place. And I don't know what to do. I think I really seriously considering just walking away from this place and letting it go into bankruptcy. And I'm like, buddy, I'm glad we talked, because we were able to work together, figure out a solution. They were able to move on. They ended up $5,000 ahead instead of having to pay prepayment penalties and realtor fees they couldn't afford because there wasn't a lot of equity there. And they were able to move into a place that was bigger. You know, they were able to move on. I was able to make some money too on the deal, which was awesome. And also the person that ended up buying the place, they did well as well. So it was a fantastic win-win situation. And it all just came about from talking, just telling people what I do. I'm constantly telling people what I do. Yes, I talk about lots of other things, but everybody that I know knows that I'm in real estate, and it's paid off over and over and over again, and it can pay off for you. So don't be afraid to talk about it. Don't be afraid to talk about real estate. Deals, more information on deals. So one of the things that people struggle with, like if they're maybe out knocking on doors, or they see a for sale by owner sign and they can't get a hold of the owner, or they see, you know, the house with the snow-covered house, or the grass that's overgrown, they can't find the owner. Well, you can find the owner of any property by doing a title search. Okay, so your lawyer can do this for you. They're probably going to charge you like $50. Depending on where you live, you should be able to do a title search to figure out who owns the property. So whoever owns the property, might be a company, might be a regular old person, their name's going to be there, their address is going to be there. Sometimes the owner's address is the same as the address, and it might take a little bit of work to actually find the owner and where they actually live. But in that case, you can go knock on their door. It might be a little uncomfortable for you, or you can send them a letter. A lot of people do what are called yellow letter campaigns. They're not very popular for people to get them if they are not selling their house. But there have been, that I know of, dozens and dozens and hundreds and thousands of deals done by doing yellow letter campaigns, because you never know. You might a person might open their mortgage statement and be getting a demand letter from the bank, and then the next letter that they open is a yellow letter from you. And you can get this information from a title. The other thing that you can get, which is really important in title searches, you can see if there's a bank loan on it. In some cases, you can see when the bank loan was placed and how much it was for. And you can also see what else is going on title. So if there's a builder's caveat on the title, or a builder's lien, that means maybe there's a financial situation going on here. You can see if there's a second mortgage. You can see if there's a third mortgage. When people have a very messy title with lots of things attached to it, sometimes, a lot of time actually, it can mean that there is a situation that maybe you can step into and help the seller out and help create, again, a win-win situation. So I encourage you to look into your regional territory and figure out how you can do title searches. I know in Alberta, it's super easy. You just go online, you pay $10, and boom, you've got the title, you've got the owner, you know exactly who you're dealing with. So that's another great way to find deals. So this is a slide that I made so that I can go on to the next subject. I hope you got a lot out of that. We're going to move on now, and I'm just going to pause the video real quick. Okay, so there is so much to analyzing deals. This is called the Street Smart Motivated. No, it's not. It's called the Motivated Seller Worksheet, and something that I created because my husband actually helped me create it. And what it does, it just helps me keep all the information when it comes to a deal in one place. It helps me stay very, very organized. And it's really important that you are organized. You're going to be frustrated really fast. And this helps you analyze a deal. All right. So it's got the address, it's got the name of the owner, contact information. I really want to know the family situation, because in this case, this is a real life deal that actually one of my coaching clients, Trina, got from a bandit sign. And this house is owned by a couple. They have already moved on to Calgary. The house is in Lethbridge. It's been rented since 2017. They've hit some tough times. It's a great area though. It's built in 2012. They bought it in 2012. 1,300, it's got 1,500 square feet, fenced. You want to know all these details because you want to know how many bedrooms it has, whether or not it has a finished basement. That actually can affect the value. And if it's not finished, then if you have to finish it, of course, that's going to be money out of your pocket. You want to know square footage because really tiny houses don't sell as well. You want to know if it's a wartime bungalow that has three bedrooms upstairs. Usually the wartime bungalows only have one bathroom. You want to make sure that you have another bathroom. A lot of people add bathrooms. If you have to add a bathroom, again, it's going to affect the value and it's going to affect the amount of money that you have to spend. So all these kinds of things. The age of the house absolutely matters. Where it is in a certain area absolutely matters. Whether or not it has an attached or detached garage. In a house that has an attached garage, it's not as easy to rent the garage, right? But a detached garage, you can create an extra $200 or $300 a month by just providing, storage for people or a place to cover their car and protect it in the wintertime. You want to know about fireplaces, whether or not property has a deck. We bought a house once and didn't have a deck. We had to build a deck. It was like $2,000. It was kind of a pain in the butt. So you want to know about all these things. You want to know if it's an older home, whether or not the furnace has been replaced recently, or the roof, or the hot water tank. All those kinds of things really, really add up over time. You want to know about the flooring, fixtures, lights, that kind of thing, especially in a house that's built in 50s to the 2000s. There's a lot of brass happening depending on the era. And chrome and all kinds of things. So you just want to know if a house is updated or not. Anyway, this is a place to gather all kinds of really good information, really valuable information. It also includes here that there are tenants, they are in place, they are there until September 30th of 2020. You're also going to want to know information about the financing because usually when I'm looking at deals like these, people have financing in place and I'm going to want to probably ask them to keep it in place. So I'm going to want as much information about the financing as possible. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute. So in this case, she knows that it's worth about $326. Also, she knows that they bought it for $326 7 years ago. So there really hasn't been a lot in value, but this also tells you that they probably have a mortgage that was at a certain point when they bought. Now, depending on whether or not they've refinanced or pulled out any equity, those are the kind of questions that you want to know. You want to know the tax amount. You want to know the insurance amount. You want to know the strata fees because it's going to play into the Street Smart Analyzer that I'm about to show you. Okay? And then any other additional notes that you want to take on what's going on. You want to ask this question. Are they willing to keep the financing in place? If somebody is really motivated, usually they are willing to keep the financing in place because they're having a tough time keeping up with the mortgage. Some people want it all paid off. I like working with people that will keep financing in place because to me, paying off a mortgage is just like throwing baby out with the bathwater. If you can keep nice financing in place, I always like to. And plus, there can be a benefit to a seller by keeping financing in place. If I'm taking over the payment, then it's going to help keep their credit, their on-time payments in a good place on their credit bureau. Yeah, they're still going to have the debt, but they're also going to have record of a lot of years and years and years of online payments, depending on how long we do the deal. So they're asking how much you want for down payment. They only want 5% down. So on a $320,000 home, that's around $16,000. They want the money up front, but they may reconsider that. You never know. And then how long are you willing to wait? So they said they'd be willing to keep holding the mortgage as long as their costs are paid for. And so that is really a lot of valuable information. It also is shown here in the details that the mortgage details, I don't know the term, I don't know the rate, I don't know the amortization, but I'm going to ask her to ask for that information. But I do know that it renews on August 1st. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that as well. I know that it's rented for $1,700 a month. and that the tenant is on their way out. So these people are facing a vacancy that's coming up, all right? All of this plays into me analyzing whether or not this is a deal that I want to look more closely at. All right, now I am going to share the Street Smart Analyzer. So while I go over there, I am just going to keep talking so we don't have awkward silence. And now we have the Street Smart Analyzer. So this is actually a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet that you can calculate numbers in. So in all the yellow boxes, you can calculate numbers. You can't touch the colored ones, but you can manipulate the yellow boxes. So again, it's the Street Smart Analyzer. It's got an amortization schedule built into it, so you can understand the mortgage numbers very well, and it calculates everything accurately. I'm just going to walk you quickly through this tool and a little bit of the features about it, and then I'm just going to dive right into this particular property and how I would analyze it, just kind of in an instant. Okay, so in this case, they want 326 it's worth 326. I'm just going to put that number in here. All right, I'm going to put a rate of 3.5. And as you can see, I can change those things, right? I can change the rent. The rent is $1,700, but I can make it more, I can make it less. You want to know the rent if you're going to be analyzing a deal. You want to know what your market rents are. What can this 3-bedroom, 2-bath house rent for in this area? Can it rent for more than $1,700 a month? Once they leave, am I going to be able to re-rent it for $1,700 a month? I really need to know that information, because it's extremely, extremely important, okay? Otherwise, if it's not going to cash flow, then I'm going to have a negative cash flow situation, and I don't like that. Nobody should like that. So I want to make sure that I understand what's going on, which is why I want to understand the mortgage information, all right? So anyway, you can put your rental amount in here. I'm going to make it $1,800 a month just because I don't like it being so close to negative cash flow. It makes me a little nervous. Going down, you can change the tax rate, other fees like homeowner association fees or condo fees. You want your insurance rate there. Depending on whether or not you're selling as a rent-to-own or a just straight rental is going to influence your vacancy and your repair rate. So if you're just renting it out, you definitely need to set aside money every month for vacancies and for repairs. If you are selling it as a rent-to-own and a tenant buyer or a lease option is being put into the property, then you shouldn't have vacancy or repair, because it should be vacant because they're living there as their home. And secondly, all my tenant buyers pay for their own repairs, okay? So in a tenant buyer situation, instead of being 8%, I'd actually put it at 0. But we're going to pretend like this is a rental property, okay? You can put your down payment if you're thinking of doing a new purchase. How much are you putting down? Are you putting down 25%, 10%, 5%, 30%? You can put that over here. And what it'll do is it'll automatically calculate your starting mortgage balance. So if I put 30% down, my mortgage is going to go down. If I put 15% down, my mortgage is going to go up. Okay, you follow me? I hope I'm not going too fast, but don't worry, you're going to get the recording. You'll be able to come back. You want your legal fees in here. Any other fees? So do you have to pay for a mortgage, to get your financing in place? Do you have to pay to get the house cleaned? Do you have to pay to get it painted, to get ready for a tenant, buy appliances, that kind of thing? Then, of course, what I have for this, the Street Smart Analyzer, it just is able to predict in the future some of the things that you're going to be trying to predict on analyzing a property. So down here, it talks about sale expenses, and they're automatically calculated into all the profit centers and the total profit at the end of the day. So I have in here sale expenses. So you're going to have legal fees when you have sale expenses. You're also you may have other expenses like vacancy for a couple of months. Again, having to maybe paint the property, stage the property for sale, hire a photographer. Those kinds of things go here. And then I automatically calculate as if a property is going to be sold by a realtor. Sometimes they're not, but sometimes they are. So I automatically calculate realtor fees, and it's something that doesn't change. So it's automatically included in the sale expenses. All right, I have an appreciation section. So if this house goes up 2% per year, then it's going to be worth $358,000 at the end of 5 years. If it goes up 2% a year, 3 years, it's going to be worth about $345,000 in 3 years, all right? And again, when I change the term, it changes the sale mortgage balance, it changes the sale price based on appreciation. And then of course, I also have amortization because this influences the mortgage. So if it's a 30-year mortgage, it's going to be paid down more slowly. Also, the payment is going to be lower. So if it's 25-year mortgage, I see I've got a $1,244 cost. If it's a 25-year mortgage, I've got a more expensive mortgage cost here. All right. So everybody, I hope I'm not going too fast, but you know what? I only have so much time here. So, and we'll keep in touch. Don't worry. We'll just keep in touch. It'll be fine. I'm going to show you how to do that at the end of this. So, all right, let's go back to, I'm going to raise this rent. I don't know why the rent keeps going up, or sorry, the cash flow keeps going down. So what we're doing, oh, that's why, because I put less money down. All right. So when it comes to analyzing a deal, I just want to go in quickly and I want to see if it's going to take care of itself. So I already talked a little bit about that, but that's why I want to understand what the market rents are. Okay. So if the people that are there right now, if they're paying $1,700 and I'm going to rent it again for $1,700, it's not going to probably cash flow very well. It will take care of itself, and you got to decide for yourself whether or not that's going to make sense. That makes me a little bit nervous if it's only but just barely going to cash flow for itself. So I really want to dig into the market and see if there's a way for me to increase the rent so that I am making a little bit stronger cash flow, because again, I don't want to get into a risky situation. And then, so this is just a quick way for you to see whether or not the property will take care of itself when you're analyzing it. All right. So moving on to the importance of understanding mortgages. This is so important because now what you can do is you can actually predict what a mortgage will look like in the future by using this tool. So I'm going to walk you through a scenario. Actually, one thing that I can do in this deal is I can act as if I've got to stop share, and I've got to change my share screen to over here. I just want to show you. Okay, so going back here for the motivated seller worksheet, I know that from the information that's been given to me that they bought it for $326 7 years ago. Okay, so and they did live in it at that time. Okay, so I'm gonna just make some assumptions, although just like my grade 7 social studies teacher, Mr. Langdon, said, never assume anything because it makes an ass out of you and it makes an ass out of me. So you never want to assume anything, but I'm just going to, assume that they haven't refinanced it just out of curiosity, okay? And so I'm going to go back to my motivated seller worksheet, and I'm going to make sure that I am sharing it properly because I just want to make sure that you can see it. So if they bought it way back then, and let's say they have a rate of 4%, okay? And let's say that I know that they've owned it for 7 years, okay? But I don't know what rates were like back then, although I could probably do a kind of a history search. But let's just say that they put 10% down because it's a principal residence and they put 10% down. I'm just gonna see what this looks like. Well, after 7 years, their mortgage has been probably paid down to $238,000, all right? So the other thing, I don't know if you remember, if you saw in the motivated seller worksheet, is this mortgage is up for renewal, okay? It's up, I'm gonna share it with you because I wanna show you, again, the power of the motivated seller worksheet and what valuable information you can get here. So it's right here in front of me. It says right here, mortgage details, that it's renewing October 1st, 2020. All right, so the importance of understanding financing so that you know that what you're getting into, you know how you can solve the problem, and you know how you can help everybody move forward. And again, create a wonderful win-win situation for everybody. All right, so we're gonna move on to the next one. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna pause the video, and we'll see you in a jiffy. Okay, so just as a review, we've talked about analyzing deals. We've talked about why it's important to understand financing. And I would just take you a little bit of a before and after of this Lethbridge deal that I showed you with the motivated seller worksheet and with the Street Smart Analyzer. So this is basically what these people, this is what they're staring at right now in their situation, if they're going to sell with the realtor and if they're going to have to do, if they're going to have to sell now. So they are anxious homeowners. They want to move on. They don't want to deal with tenants anymore. They don't want to deal with the repairs that can be involved. And it needs a little bit of work, not a lot of work, but a little bit of work just to freshen it up, get it ready for staging. Then they're going to have to pay a realtor. Then they're also going to have a little bit of a prepayment penalty depending on when it sells. You have to pay lawyer fees. They're going to have to pay whatever it costs to have the property vacant. If it does end up going vacant in October and it doesn't sell yet, and of course it's going to cost them time. So by my rough estimation, they're going to be upside down by about $25,000. And my coaching client Trina thinks so too. So instead, what she's going to go to them with is a solution. All right. And this is our math based on what we think will happen. So what we're going to ask them to do is to hold the financing and do what's called a lease option, or we're going to do an agreement for sale. We actually haven't completely decided yet, but the fact of the matter is they are going to hold the financing, and we know that they only need like 5% down. So this is a no bank qualified deal. So if things go to plan like we think that they will, what we would like to offer them is to wait to get paid 3 to 5 years, in which case they're going to be ahead by at least $10,000. Because we're going to let them have the majority of the equity pay down that happens in their mortgage. And their mortgage is 7 years old. So the longer they hold on to it, the faster it's getting paid down. The seller's headache is going to be gone. There's going to be a win for the new tenant buyers so that they have a nice place to live, or new tenants because they have a nice place to live. It's in a great neighborhood. So there's a win for the seller because they've got something off their plate that they never really wanted on their plate to begin with. The deal partners that are going to be involved, they're going to win because they're going to do well. They're going to basically be able to make passive money. The bank's going to win because they're going to continue to get paid and do what banks do and rent out their money. The lawyer's going to get paid because he's going to have to structure all the paperwork so that it's all done properly, so that everybody is protected properly. And then, of course, there's going to be a huge win for the buyer. My coaching client, Trina, she's going to do incredibly well. She's not going to have to qualify for financing. This thing is going to be positive cash flow. And she's, by our estimation on what we think we can do with the property, she's probably going to profit about $30,000 at the end of the day. So it's just a win for absolutely everybody. All right. So the next subject is a very interesting subject because here's what a lot of people think. Most people think that, you know, if I'm going to do a real estate investment, I've got to go and I've got to have 25% down. I've got to qualify for financing, and I've got to buy a property that's on the MLS from a real estate agent. And that's what a lot of people do. They absolutely do. There's no question. And that's a very simple way of doing real estate. But the fact of the matter is, some people don't have 25% down. A lot of people can't qualify for financing. So this strategy is really great. It's a really fantastic solution for a lot of people. But there's usually kind of this added layer about how would I do a creative deal? How would I talk to a motivated seller? Because most people that are looking around, they're not people that have ever been in a lot of trouble, that have not been through bankruptcy, that have not been through foreclosure. So they think things like this: I would never let my house go into foreclosure. I would never get that behind on my bills. I would never do that. I would never give up on a property. I would never be that way. I would never let something as fortunate as that happen. And I know that's what a lot of people think. But motivated sellers are in a different boat. And again, I know this because I was a motivated seller. We had 113 condos, and I didn't know what I was going to do with them. But I was, over time, realizing more and more that I didn't want them anymore. I wish they were no longer in my life. And so there are 2 days, the two most important days of your life are the day that you're born and the day that you discover why. So there were so many times during the challenging times of my life. Again, we fought for about 5 years to save a very, very toxic real estate investments portfolio and situation. So many times I was thinking, why is this happening to me? What did I do to deserve this? And I had to discover later why. Because when I was going through my struggles, I didn't find anybody who could help me. So I had to become that person. And I had to go through all that I did in order to become that person. Because since rebuilding and learning everything that I did, I've been able to help and work with dozens of people to avoid bankruptcy, to avoid foreclosure, to avoid the pain that I had to go through, that I went through. And it has been incredibly rewarding. So I understand why people are close to just saying, no, I can't do this. And it's very important for you, if you're going to work with motivated sellers, to understand that sometimes people just see their property as an eyesore, as a sore point in their relationship, as a drain on their bank account, as a source of pain and a source of stress. And if you could come in and create a solution for these people, again, it creates a fantastic win, and people are out there and this is happening to them. So it's a fantastic skill to know how to do, to buy things creatively and to know about, how to do all this and how motivated sellers think. And these are the kinds of words that they say. I just want it gone. I don't want to deal with it anymore. I'm so tired of being a landlord. This is exhausting. I might have to let it go. I have heard those words over and over again from people that I've been so fortunate to be able to work with and help and avoid the pain and struggle that comes along with, letting your house go and going into foreclosure and bankruptcy. It's just a mess. It's not fun. And it's absolutely necessary for some people, but it's also avoidable for a lot of people, a lot more people than you may think. So said I was going to tell you about this. Our first 3 properties were bought by motivated sellers. So back in 2001, again, I was 6 months pregnant and then just looking at properties, getting more pregnant and about, really to give birth. I gave birth in February of 2002. But anyway, still pregnant. We are in the winter time, okay? And our first property that we bought was from an investor, okay? And this investor had bought it, renovated it, and now he was holding it vacant. He'd been holding it vacant for 4 months. So his bank account was basically hemorrhaging. His profit was dwindling every month that this went on. So he was very, very motivated. He said, just take it. I want it out of my life. I just want it gone. He said the first thing. Then we ended up buying a whole bunch more properties from him because he was an investor. But he was very motivated when we met him. The second house that we bought, it was actually a house on Rainbow Crescent in Sherwood Park in Alberta. Very sad story. A man and his wife and his teenage kids, the man and wife had built their dream home. They thought that this was the house that they were going to retire in and spend their golden years in. She suddenly became sick with cancer and died within 6 months. And he had moved to another house because he couldn't be reminded of this house that they had built together. Reminders of her were everywhere because they picked everything together. And it was just a source of not only financial strain, but of literal heartbreak for him. So he just wanted to move on. And we felt privileged to actually be able to help him do that. The third guy that we bought a house from, he was in Mill Woods on 13th Avenue. And I remember it was December of 2001, early December. We went and looked at this house. It was vacant. He met us there. He was very anxious because he'd already moved to Calgary. He'd already bought a house in Calgary. His family already lived there. They were heading into the Christmas season. They'd been holding this house vacant, so paying 2 mortgages. And he just couldn't be more anxious to get rid of this house because he really was not sure how he was going to be able to buy his kids Christmas gifts that year because of the financial strain. So again, able to step in, able to help out, able to work together and create a win-win situation. And so what I just encourage you is to open your mind and to understand that motivated sellers do need your help. And if you can figure out a way to help them, again, it just creates massive win-win for everybody involved. Now, I want to tell you real quick about this concept of motivated sellers and how if they're really motivated, they are an open book. Okay, so just going back to, I'm going to go back to the motivated seller worksheet here. My coaching client, Trina, is going to go back and get a whole bunch of this information. She's going to get the rate. She's going to get the payment amount. She's going to get the amortization. She's going to get all of the banking information, because what it's going to do is it is going to help us decide whether or not we can help her, okay? Now, I think these people are very motivated based on the information that I've been told. But motivated sellers, this is my point. Motivated sellers are an open book. They will get you every piece of information that you ask for if they are truly motivated, because you represent a solution for them. You represent an end to their pain and their suffering and their stress. Okay, so it might feel uncomfortable to want to ask for a lot of this information, but again, if they are truly motivated, they will give you that information, because without that information, you just don't know if you can help them. So keep that in mind. If you're thinking in the back of your head, I don't know if I'm comfortable asking somebody about their mortgage and whether or not they're up to date in their payments. You have to ask those questions, because it's kind of like a doctor diagnosis. You don't know how sick the person is, or how bad the situation is, or what exactly is going on in the situation, then you won't know how to help properly. All right. So motivated sellers should be an open book. If somebody is not an open book and they put up a lot of resistance and they don't trust you, or they won't, provide the information, it's due to two possibilities. One, they're not really motivated, and two, they just won't get help. And either way, you can't help them. You can only help somebody who is willing to help themselves. Okay, so just keep that in mind. It's really, really important point when it comes to motivated sellers. All right, so this is the last thing I'm going to talk about, and this is how to get a decision fast. And the reason why you want a decision fast is because you don't want to be hanging on to a potential opportunity, wondering what's going on, wondering, whether or not it's going to happen, doing follow-up calls, not knowing what's going to happen next. You want to get a decision fast, even if it's a no, even if it's not a fit, okay? So the first thing that you're going to do is make sure that you have a presentation ready for them, okay? And this presentation should have certain information in it. I'm going to go through the information that the presentation should have. You're going to, first of all, tell them what you're going to do in the presentation, okay? So Martha, I'm going to, in this presentation, I'm going to go over some financial details. I'm going to show you where you're at. Then I'm going to show you where you could be if you decide to work with us. And I'm hoping that you are able to sit with me with a decision maker. Okay, so make sure that you've got a decision maker with them. If you've got somebody else on title, okay, that's really, really important. Or if their accountant needs to be there, or if their lawyer needs to be there. So listen, we're going to go over this. I'm going to show you kind of where you're at. And then I'm going to show you how I can help you. And then I'm going to take you through the plan on how I plan to help you. And at the end of this presentation today, I just want to decide whether or not we're going to move forward. And if we're not going to move forward, I want you to know that it's 100% okay with me. All right? You're not going to hurt my feelings. I just want to see if we can work together. On the other hand, we might decide that we do want to move forward. Okay? And if that's the case, we just need to go over the next steps together. All right? So you always want to tell them what you're going to do. Whenever people enter a sales process, whenever somebody's being sold to, usually it's called a sales screen that goes up and it makes people feel uneasy. Well, if you tell them exactly what's going to happen, they're going to relax and they're going to respect you more. And they're also going to appreciate that you're going to tell them what's going to happen. Then you want to give them a snapshot of where they're at. All right, so if you decide to sell today with a realtor, you're going to pay this much in realtor costs, you're going to pay this much in prepayment penalties. It's probably going to have to sit vacant for a little while. Probably going to have to put a fresh coat of paint, some new flooring in the bedrooms. It's going to cost this much. And you're probably going to have to stage it, which means it's going to cost this much. So at the end of the day, you're going to be out $30,000. Now, if you decide to work with us, you're not going to have to pay realtor fees. You're not going to have to do anything to the property. We're just going to take over your payments. So you're not going to have to lose any money on vacancy. We'll take care of that. You're not going to have to show it. You're not going to have to meet with realtors. You will have to do a little bit of work as far as just signing paperwork properly with lawyers, you know, so that you're protected and so that we're protected. But at the end of the day, if you keep financing in place and we keep making payments, instead of you being behind $25,000 or $30,000, you're actually going to be ahead by, let's just use an example, you're going to be ahead $10,000 if you end up working with us. Now, here's the plan on exactly how we're going to do this. We're going to take it over, and then we're going to select an equity building tenant, and we're going to make sure that those rents are raised, and we're going to check on the property and make sure that it's always being well looked after. And we're even going to report to you every 6 months to let you know how things are going and how it's going in the market and that kind of thing, so that you can just sleep better at night. And then at the end of the conversation, remember you told them at the beginning that you were going to ask for a decision? Well, you're going to ask them first. You're going to say, okay, do you have any questions for me? And they may have a bunch of questions for you, and they may not. They may just understand what's going on, and they may be like, wow, this looks like a really good solution. And maybe not. Doesn't matter. You answer their questions. Some questions you may have to go and find the answer to and come back to. That's okay. But you, every single time, have to ask them a question. And this is the question that I have been using ever since I started my sales training started selling way back in 2004. You always have to ask a closing question. And this is called the Hoffman close. And it goes like this. Is there any reason you would not want to move forward with this deal? And let them answer. If they are really motivated, there shouldn't be any reason that they don't want to move forward. They may have to talk to somebody about it. They may have to get a second opinion. That kind of thing can happen. You can't control that. They may want a little more money. You can control that, right? But in a lot of cases, if you've created a really good solution for a motivated seller, when you ask this question, is there any reason you would not want to move forward? They'll usually say, no, there's no reason we should move forward. Or they might say, yeah, we're just not comfortable with this. And that's okay too. This is not about getting the house, and this is not about winning. Actually, you win either way if you get a decision. If you get a yes, you're winning. If you get a no, you're winning. Either way, you need to have a decision, and you need to have a clear next step for this situation in a sale. Okay, it's very, very important. And so many people never ask for the sale, right? So I'm going to repeat it one more time because it's really important. Is there any reason you would not want to move forward? So you either know if you're moving forward or you're not. You've got to know that sooner than later so that you can move on, help more people, and do more deals. Okay? So just in summary, thanks so much for being here. I hope you got a lot out of it. We talked about how to find deals, how to analyze deals, why understanding financing is so incredibly important, how motivated sellers think, because again, I was one, and there are a lot of motivated sellers out there, how to present to a motivated seller in order to get a decision fast. So I hope you got a lot out of this. Don't worry, it's recorded. If I went too fast, you'll be able to come back and pause things, take notes if you need to. Also, if you want to keep in touch with me and you want my online real estate investment course free called the Street Smart Buyer Program, it takes you step by step by step. It takes you again through how to find deals, how to analyze deals, how to do the proper paperwork, how to work with lawyers, and how to talk to motivated sellers again, and just how to basically buy properties very creatively without having to qualify for financing. It's for free right now during isolation. $795 value. All you got to do is go to my website. You'll be able to sign up, and you're going to get the information right away, along with all the other free tools that you have access to. Again, keep in touch with me. www.streetsmartdiva.com. I hope that I get to talk to you soon. Either way, I've had a lot of fun with this presentation today. And I'll leave you with this because this is my favorite saying by Abraham Lincoln. Things may come to those who wait, but only the things left by those who hustle. So make sure you go out and hustle. It was so fantastic being here today. I'm really, really excited for each and every one of you. And thank you again for being here. We will see you next time.